Call me crazy, but I think that MJF may just be a little bit absolutely pissed off. And honestly, I don't fucking blame him one bit. I'm John Retton with my review of AEW Dynamite from the Kia Forum in Inglewood/LA, California. And my fucking goodness, the Forum, boy, you want to talk about a rich tradition of wrestling as far as, well, Jim Crockett Promotions and various other shows, like really LA has had a lot of great wrestling shows, and this was certainly one that had a lot of great moments. It wasn't the best overall Dynamite that has happened, but this certainly had a lot of high points and had a big amount of crowd energy. But goodness me, the talk of the town, the talk of Tinseltown, as it were, was that MJF promo. There's a lot to sink into, a lot to sink your teeth into, a lot to talk about. I want to know what you guys have to say, but goodness me, that was a fucking fired up promo. MJF he was saying every goddamn thing under the sun, everything that he felt. You could tell that it was a whole lot of passion, a whole lot of angst that he had to let out. I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. I do like the, smaller stage that they had here because it was all fancy. You don't even know. They went in the fast lane from LA to, LA actually, because they didn't go to Tokyo. Be weird if they had a Dynamite in Tokyo. Then they could really do a New Japan AEW Super Show and bring New Japan, to AEW. Anyway, they're going to be doing that for Forbidden Door, which will be quite interesting. I'll be ordering that pay-per-view. Will you be ordering Forbidden Door? So, they were up for CM Punk, and FTR. And Max Caster makes his entrance and says, acclaimed in the guns, what the fans prefer. Gonna make y'all pay like Amber Heard. Let's just say that was pretty goddamn fun. I really fucking enjoyed that. I haven't really kept up on a ton of the trial, but I'll just say this. Victims of actual abuse deserve to be heard. Nobody really came out looking good in that whole damn thing. That's all I gotta say, but that was a funny line. And Bowens, who's in a wheelchair because he has a severe knee injury, or at least some sort of knee injury that's going to keep him out for a while. He says, Billy Gunn, scissor me, daddy ass. I don't know why that's funny, but it is. So it's Punk and FTR against Caster and the Guns, the Gun Boys, with Billy Gunn at ringside. The crowd was into it. Ass boys, chants. FTR, they're so smooth. Punk got huge pops. This was really good stuff. And the reason that Punk and FTR are teaming up is because, after Dax and Punk had that terrific classic match, one of my favorite matches, not just in AEW, but of all year. That was really, really fucking good. Pay-per-view worthy shit on television. FTR apparently joined Punk in Celebration on, at right after Double or Nothing finished up. And that's cool. Since FTR are full-fledged baby faces, and we've done this whole thing with Wardlow and MJF, and they've gone their separate ways, as Journey once said, as you go your separate ways. True love will blind you, or however that song went. Sorry, it's kind of late. The reason I'm doing this review now instead of on, way late Thursday morning, early Thursday afternoon is because I had to fucking talk about that MJF promo. The match was really, really good as far as, just having the crowd into it. If it had just had a, tepid crowd, you probably wouldn't have cared as much, but there was enough star power on one side. Caster is as good as he's probably going to be in the ring, and the Gun Boys show potential. They did do a nice spot where they stopped Dax from getting the tag. Eventually, Punk got the tag to a big pop, and then there was a bit of an awkward spot at the end after we get a bit of a melee. He sends Austin into Billy, sort of, hits the GTS, and then the big rig, 1, 2, 3. So there you go. And then Punk gets on the mic and says, I've never done drugs in my life, but I imagine this is what this feels like, and how he's got to get better as his reign goes on. He's still got a lot, a long way to go, a lot more miles. He's going to make mistakes, but he's going to get better. And Dax talks about how, besides his wife and his baby girl, pro wrestling is his true love. And really, really fired up. New Japan Pro Wrestling's brought up Forbidden Door, and Punk says, show me who I've got. The Ace, Go Ace, Tana Hoshi is going to be his opponent. Okay, that makes sense. Tana Hoshi can definitely take the loss, provided his knees hold up. This is really going to be Tana Hoshi's last hurrah. I'm not saying he will be done by next Wrestle Kingdom, but let's be honest, Tana Hoshi isn't what he was even 6 to 7 years ago. Scar tissue, that which you saw, sarcasm, Mr. Know-It-All, no, in all seriousness. He's got a lot of injuries, but he is the Ace of Japan. And I'm glad that he's able to see the success and the American growth that they've had, or the American resurgence that they've had. And really, really good stuff. Of course, it was a little bit awkward that he was just there on the stage. He didn't come down to the ring. I would have preferred to see that, but that's fine for what it is. Tana Hoshi versus Punk will certainly be interesting. And JR really knows Tana Hoshi well. He was desperately trying to come up with facts, and I remember Jim Ross's New Japan commentary. He didn't know how to pronounce any of the goddamn names, and he didn't seem like he knew what the fuck he was saying. But anyway, nevertheless, the announcers talk about Forbidden Door, which again I will be buying, and tonight's card, and MJF's music hits. Mixed reaction, cheers, boos, all that stuff. I would like to say before I talk about this promo, it's MJF's business, whatever the fuck he wants to do. If he wants to go to WWE for a shit pot full of money, if he can get a whole bunch of money from Tony Khan, whatever he wants to do, the guy is literally a fucking star. A great goddamn wrestler. He's tremendous on the mic. The best promo that I can think in wrestling today, in my personal opinion. And he gets it. He absolutely fucking gets it. I remember seeing him at a couple early Defy shows that I went to within the first couple years of Defy. And this is just before he appeared at All In when he took on Matt Cross. And instead of streamers, toilet paper was thrown at him. But MJF gets it. He absolutely fucking gets it. And whatever he wants to do. Been a fan of MJF. I will continue to be a fan of MJF. I'm not going to say he was unprofessional for what he did. Maybe he finally reached a breaking point. Whatever you want to believe, some wrestlers just fucking had enough. And if the rumors are to be believed, what MJF is actually getting paid. And I don't know how true this is or not. If it's the rumored 55 to 60K a year, oh, he fucking deserves at least 5 times that. If I'm Tony Khan, I mean, I know, God forbid, because I'm not on the Herb Abrams diet like Tony Khan is, I would have said, okay, you're going to get 60K for the first year. You're going to get 120K for the second year. You're going to get 240K for the third year. You're going to get you're just, and then you're going to get 480K for the fourth year. And then I'm going to give you a king's fucking ransom to keep you. MJF is one of the pillars. Wherever he decides to go, if he stays in AEW, if he goes to WWE, whatever. I just hope he's happy. That's all I gotta say. Like MJF or any of MJF's fans are gonna be watching this. But that's just my take. That's just my take as a fan. Whatever he wants to do. He's pissed. The crowd kind of lays into him a bit, but there are some cheers. He says, "You want to hear me talk?" Now, I wrote some of this down. I'm not gonna go over it verbatim. But I'm going to say you absolutely need to check out this promo. It's 8.5 minutes of just pure delight, pure rage. Yes, obviously they're doing work shoot stuff here, but I believe as much of this came from his heart. Well, this is Max Friedman talking, and he talks about how he'd hate to embarrass Khan in front of the new management or whatever. It's like, shame if something happened to your company. You've been trying to basically get with me and get me to renegotiate for a while. Well, too little, too late. And he just, when this started, it was all friends wrestling, and except for him, he had to fight and scratch and claw because, Cody, obviously, I think him and Cody have a friendship, I believe, from what I've heard. But he talked about how he had to be this perfect individual, and he had to be this, and no one is on his level, and how great he is in the ring. That every time he went out, he wasn't just expected to hit home runs, he was expected to hit grand slams, and he did it every single fucking week, and he did. He has to be perfect, that he's the only one capable of carrying his company on his back. This is fucking tremendous. He calls out the fans for calling him unprofessional. I'd like to say that I didn't. And I'm not equating myself to being any better than other fans, but I think that it's up to him. I don't know what goes on in that guy's head. And I've been a fan of MJF for a number of years. And, I did see enough of his stuff in MLW after the fact and realized this guy just fucking gets it. He's just so fucking good on the mic. But it's like, you want my spot? Well, that's fine. You can have it. I don't want to be here anymore. And he calls the fans a bunch of marks, bunch of idiots, their opinions don't matter, that you don't know shit. And that's true. Us fans really don't know shit. We just observe with our eyes. I do stuff on a YouTube channel. I'm just a fan. I'm never going to claim to be inside the business. I've been backstage at one indie show. That's all I've ever been, and that's all it's ever going to be. That's it. I've never been involved in wrestling, and I'm never going to be involved in wrestling. Just having watched this since 1985, I feel like I have an opinion to share, but it's just an opinion at the end of the day because I'm not somebody that's inside wrestling. That he isn't reckless, he doesn't drop people on their head, he doesn't watch New Japan tapes. People are upset that he brought up New Japan. Oh well, darn, he might face somebody from New Japan possibly. You're telling me that MJF versus somebody from New Japan, watch them have him face Yano. Oh god, they're gonna have him face Yano, aren't they? Well, that might not actually be that bad. Oh god, he'll face Suzuki. But that's fine. He doesn't need to do all this reckless shit to get where he's at. He doesn't need that to get the job done. Calls out Tony Khan. That MJF is the second biggest minute-by-minute draw, which doesn't surprise me. And that all these ex-WWE guys are getting all this money while he's not, but they couldn't lace his boots. And Tony Khan should fire him, and he says a whole bunch of swears, and then apparently after this, he leaves through the crowd. Punk tried to come in, but MJF was Punk was limping down, and MJF walked off. This is good shit. This is really, really good shit. This would have worked no matter where. This is as close to the loose cannon Brian Pillman stuff or Ric Flair and Eric Bischoff on September 14th, 1998. Good shit. I love MJF. I could crow about this promo for minutes and minutes on end, but I have a review to do. Absolutely check this out. Fucking great stuff. This was the high point of the show. Now, there were some other good points, but let's basically just continue this review. That being said, great promo by MJF. One of the best moments in AEW this year, by far. So, Johnny Elite has an open challenge. And suddenly, video package, it's Miro. He is back. His neck of sand is healed. And his god abandoned him. Well, he no longer wants to get close enough to God. All he wants to do is, he doesn't want to go home. He wants to go up to God and take his. He's upset at God and wants to destroy him because he's upset at how God has handled, shit with him. And if you believe in that stuff, well, given the recent string of shootings and all the bullshit and the crap going on, I don't blame him or anybody for questioning God. But Miro is very well spoken and intense. And destroys Johnny Elite. Just destroys him. I mean, Johnny Elite, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact, John Morrison. He did hit a few moves. He did at one point do an awkward tumble. I think he tried to do some kind of Starship Pain variation, but almost stepped right on Miro. And then game over for the win. And Jericho Aryan Society, that's what they're going to be called right now. Appreciate us instead of acknowledge me. And this is stupid. This is stupid. They're dressed like an Aryan boy band, like Fox News decided to get the Backstreet Boys knockoffs. Hager, why is Hager there? Hager isn't any good. Jericho's not interesting. He's trying hard to be this heel, and I don't care. I don't care about any of this. I'm glad that the one guy from 2.0 is fine after getting, gushing blood. I mean, he had the noticeable cut there. I don't know what his name is. I don't care. I'm just glad he's all right. But Eddie shows up, and I said, Eddie, please save this. He says he's willing to fight them all, but hey, Regal, tell him where I want to fight them. Blood and guts instead of war games. And then Eddie runs down because he's going to attack everybody, but then Ortiz shows up, hits Jericho with a sack of something, and cuts a piece of his hair. Yay. Maybe this means Jericho will actually get rid of that rat's nest and whatever the fuck type of hair he has up there. But Jericho says, you want blood and guts? You got it. But I want a hair versus hair match versus Ortiz. Ortiz is going to look weird bald. If Jericho manages to get bald, that'll be pretty cool, but nah, Ortiz is going to lose. Okay, cool. I don't know. I'm going to burn you, and I'm going to burn you, and I'm going to beat you because I'm a wizard. Yeah, you're a grand wizard, Jericho. Jericho has not been interesting for a while. We cut the foot. Speaking of not interesting, Samoa Joe got attacked by Lethal, Dutton, Giant Silva Jr., and Joe's shoulder got hurt, his shoulder, as it were. Speaking of more uninteresting stuff, the Super Elite with Adam Cole, baby, on commentary. So it's the Bucks, O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. And Bobby Fish should fit in fine looking, in L.A. In fact, I understand he was looking for his relatives in the La Brea Tar Pits. Hikuleo was there. Hikuleo is a big guy. Unfortunately, that is all Hikuleo has going for him, besides the heavy chops that he does. So Cutler was there at ringside. Matt Hardy had Jeff in his corner. Jurassic Express, along with Christian Cage, and Darby. So it's a 10-man tag, and hey, look who the referee is. It's the Bucks' favorite ref, and why have tags? Why have tags and why? Rick Knox is a terrible referee. And any referee that they decide to slot into the Bucks match that isn't Rick Knox gets made ineffective immediately because the Bucks just do it's the same video game shit. Matt shouldn't be in the ring anymore. Jeff shouldn't be in the ring anymore. The shine's off the Hardy Boys already. This is a car crash. It was ridiculous. We get the Meltzer driver 1, 2, 3 on Jungle Boy. Oh wee yo. Cole also was shouting a ton on commentary. It wasn't very good. And we cut to Lexi Nair talking to Swerve and Keith Lee and some guys I don't know who their names were and I don't care. I like Swerve. I don't know who the guys were. One guy looked like George Hamilton with a freaking anime coat. Shivani then interviews Athena, who happens to say, "Let me keep it 100. I don't know why she wants to keep 100. I don't know why people talk like this. Whoever came up with that, Tony Khan, is an idiot. Also, I am not. If Athena came up with that, that is stupid. Please stop talking weird. That's not even how any human being would talk, regardless of, well, what planet they come from. And human beings only come from one planet, so even alien beings wouldn't talk that stupid. She wants to fight Jade. Hey, look, here's Jade with the baddies and Stokely. Stokely, who's shorter than the baddies, without them wearing heels. And then Chris Statlander and Anna Jay are there, and we get security, and we get a bunch of stuff, and wow, this is awkward. But we go away from the women to Wardlow beating J.D. Drake. Wardlow got his music back and beat the shit out of J.D. Drake. Hit a really impressive, shoulder tackle into the corner, and then hit 2 power bombs. And J.D. Drake, I like J.D. Drake. I think he's fine as enhancement talent and working on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation. I think that he's got something, and he showed, that he had ability during the pandemic era. But Wardlow, great that Wardlow is able to, they're seemingly doing some good stuff with him. But alas, then Sterling interrupts and says, "I'm putting a class action lawsuit on you because you beat up a bunch of security guys." Why? Who the fuck knows? But Wardlow ends up beating up one of them while Sterling says, "That man has a family." And then we go backstage with Sky, Ethan, and Lambert, the sheepish lion Dan Lambert. They talk about Dante Martin, and lo and behold, Dante Martin appears and says he will prove his worth on Friday, which apparently is a live Rampage and back in its normal time slot, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m., 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Adjust your cocks accordingly. Jamie Hayter, my fucking goodness. That's all I have to say. And Storm and Soho make their entry. Storm and Soho. It sounds like some kind of weird buddy cop drama. So, Tony Storm and Ruby Soho taking on Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. And Storm and Hayter in the same goddamn match. This ain't fair, and it was distracting, and it was fine. I don't think Britt is as bad in the ring as other people say she is. I'm not saying she's great, but I think that as far as a character, I think she does a good enough job, though. There are times where she no-sells stuff, or she's told to no-sell stuff, whatever it is, that it gets a little bit ridiculous. The crowd at first kind of died down, and then got a little bit more up as things went on. Jamie has that kill or be killed offense where she just throws her body into stuff. Let me just say, Jamie's gear. I mean, good. I'm sorry. How can anybody that is attracted to women not be like, my goodness. We did get this went a bit long. I don't mind the women getting plenty of time. I would argue that maybe you could do more than one women's match on Dynamite, at least occasionally. But it's got a bit awkward with the roll-ups, and then we got a flatliner for 3 on Britt. So Ruby Soho pins Britt days after she won the Owen Hart Women's Tournament Cup. Look out. And then, speaking of looking out, here's the belt. The belt gets used. Okay, is it going to be a championship defended? This is a lot of belts, especially between Ring of Honor and AEW. So, wild thing, you make the forum sing. Regal and Jericho join commentary. Vince Vaughn, who hasn't really looked all that great lately. I mean, then again, I think he's in his mid-50s, and also he was in the remake of Psycho. So he can go fuck himself as far as I'm concerned. And Gus Van Sant can fuck himself for making that movie. God damn it. Remaking Psycho shot for shot and not well. Fuck. Macaulay Culkin is also there. Fresh off of being the latest season of American Horror Story that I've yet to finish because it was kind of absolutely dog shit, and that's not even the cast's fault. Jon Moxley took on Andy Garcia, is what I almost said. Daniel Garcia, Andy Garcia. These are desperate measures here to keep people in. Nobody that has, if you don't know who Andy Garcia is, you probably have no idea what the movie Desperate Measures is. Came out in 1997 or 98, I believe. That Michael Keaton is a villain. It wasn't very good. In fact, it absolutely sucked. Moving on from 1997, 1998 movies. Well, they were going to stick with it as long as it took. They were going to stick with it into overtime. Garcia can work. We did get a step spot. At one point, Moxley was bleeding because Moxley is bleeding. If it's a day that ends in Y, then he is bleeding. And I like Moxley. It's just sometimes he overdoes things. Moxley just sends Garcia off the steps. That was brutal pile driver for 2. We then get a table bump because, of course, we do. Who is the beauty that was by the table bump or by the announcer's table? The girl? I don't know who she is, but good on her. Good on her for just having great expressions. Oh my God, they're coming towards me. And then Jericho runs down. Eddie runs down, nearly tumbles. That was a bit brutal. And then the Bulldog Choke beats Garcia, and Moxley says, hey, Blood and Guts, sign me up. There you go. That's it. So from now on, unless something really, really dynamic and really, really incredible happens on Dynamite, I'm just going to save the reviews until, Thursday afternoon. But that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.